a dramatic turn in the presidential race. I'm Ed Kelly, editor of the Oklahoman. With me from Washington is Chris Castile, chief of the Oklahoman's Washington Bureau, and Mark Green, national editorial writer for the Oklahoman. Gentlemen, it's been quite a week in politics with one of the biggest stories, if not the biggest story, that being John McCain saying he's suspending his campaign and he wants to back out of Friday night's debate because of the economic crisis. What do you make of this strategy? Is that of a maverick, or is it somebody who is trailing in the polls?
Well, that's actually the same question David Letterman was asking last night when John McCain canceled his appearance at short notice. It's hard to say. I mean, I don't know about canceling the debate. It seems like that, they both could. They've been preparing. They both could make it there Friday night. But
right.
These guys are actually U.S. senators who represent their states, and they are actually going. One of them is going to inherit this mess. So it's hard to see why they shouldn't be down here. Both talking to the members of the lawmakers in their parties, digging into the details of this bailout that they're going to inherit, and doing their day jobs for a couple of days, which is representing their states, being U.S. senators, and trying to craft compromise legislation that may be the most important legislation of the last several years.
Right.
I actually think it's a little bit of both, Ed. Certainly McCain has a reputation as a maverick, as a legislator, but also as a campaigner, as a politician, obvious in his selection of Sarah Palin as vice presidential running mate. But he's also trailing in the polls, and the economic news has definitely brought that issue back to the public's forefront in their consciousness, and that hurts him. It's the main issue against Republicans from the top of the ticket all the way down to the lowest House race. And so he's got to do something that will shake the polls up and maybe divert attention, look presidential. I mean, certainly you could say that his announcement yesterday looked to be bipartisan and looked to be mature.
Right.
But there's a little bit of risk that goes with that too. If they hammer out a deal pretty quickly and things go back to normal, they go to the debate Friday night, then maybe his grand gesture yesterday doesn't look quite so grand.
Okay, we talked about John McCain. What about Barack Obama? How has he been affected by this crisis on Wall Street, as well as this latest move that Senator McCain announced yesterday?
Well, I think that Obama has had to play a kind of a different role as the crisis has unfolded. He's wanted to appear mature, as I mentioned about McCain yesterday, but he has had to appear calm and presidential and measured and has withheld some specifics about what he would do. Now, yesterday he came out with a list of, I think, 4 or 5 conditions that he thought the bailout plan ought to have in it, and some of that stuff's not going to fly. It'll be interesting to see where he draws the line in the sand on the bailout if some of those features are not in the final plan.
Yeah, I'm not sure what either of the before yesterday when Senator McCain decided to suspend the campaign and come back here. I'm not sure what either of these two had been planning beforehand in terms of voting on this thing, because you can, as Mark said, just issue statements about your principles on it. People all over the country are reacting to the senator's office, congressman's office are being inundated with calls. I assume that goes for Senator Obama and Senator McCain as well. And it seems to me that rather than just to try to stay above it, keep telling one more crowd in Pennsylvania or Florida that you're prepared to lead, that you could come back here and actually lead and actually vote on this thing. Both of them are U.S. senators, as I said, and let the chips fall where they may after that. It's yet to be determined exactly how voters are going to respond to this bill. A lot of people seem angry about it, so it certainly seems to me that both of these guys could come back and vote one way or another on this package, and then we'll see how people react to that.
And Ed, I think actually Chris made a really good point earlier when he was talking about these two guys. They are both members of the United States Senate, and I think the way this may play out in the country is a lot of people would say, well, why aren't they in Washington?
Sure.
They are part of the body, and perhaps some risk for Obama yesterday was in appearing to say, well, I'll issue a statement and I'll certainly come and help if they need me. Well, a lot of regular people out in the country may say, well, you're a United States Senator. You should be there.
Right. Okay, guys, good work.